Political activists are mailing out people's signatures on postcards. Does this seem like an invitation to voter fraud?
Why would they have my signature? How did they get it?
Governor Hickenlooper explains why he's honoring the local lobbyists for the brutal Saudi regime.
Guilty as charged, but I mean, these things happen.
The latest candidate to challenge Mayor Hancock would be Denver's first female mayor, but that's not her pitch.
Denver needs a good mayor.
Coloradans make a road trip for the food that people love to hate, unveiling unseen art at a one-of-a-kind museum. And every Friday, your good news brings us home on Next.
Vote shaming. It's a thing. Political parties and groups scolding you, saying, you know, your neighbors can tell if you don't vote. And that's true. Whether you vote is a public record. Who you vote for, of course, is not. We begin tonight with vote shaming taken to a whole new level. A group's mailing people postcard copies of their own signatures, saying that they promised to sign those ballots and turn them in. If sending signatures floating through the mail at campaign season seems dumb to you, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation agrees. Here's Steve Steger.
We just hear so much now about protecting our identity.
Which is why Madeline Scott couldn't believe it when this popped into her mailbox in Westminster. A postcard with a computer printout of her signature.
Why would they have my signature? How did they get it?
The mailer is from a progressive advocacy group called Colorado Fair Share, and the signature is there as part of a pledge to vote.
We've sent about 8,000 of these reminder cards in the last couple of weeks to Colorado voters.
Wendy Wenlant with Colorado Fair Share told us her group collected all of these signatures through canvassers going door to door. They've been doing this for years, she says. The thought being, if you see your signature on a pledge, you're more likely to vote. Madeline says she saw the potential for identity theft.
When I see my actual signature on something, I'm like, that's not right. It shouldn't be out there.
Colorado Fair Share told us nothing to see here. They've talked to consumer experts about it.
So it's extremely difficult to imagine identity theft occurring through the signature in the mail. And then on the voter ID side, as I've noted, there's very little evidence that voter fraud happens.
Still, this whole thing raised red flags at both the Secretary of State's office and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation when we called.
Putting someone's signature, image of their signature on a postcard is just an unnecessary thing to do.
The Secretary of State's office says while it may not be illegal for a group to do this, it may give voters the wrong impression.
They might think that our office or another government agency is giving out their personal information when we're not doing that, when we're not allowed to do that under law, and we would hate to scare people away from doing things like registering to vote or voting their mail ballot.
So Colorado Fair Share Action tells us that they got Madeline's signature back on September 7th when a canvasser came to her door. She does not remember that. CBI tells us you ought to keep something like this in mind anytime you give out your signature. You never know what someone will do with it moving forward. Even if a group does something perfectly legal, there may be other impacts to your signature actually being out there. So they say just kind of keep that in mind. But just a reminder, the Secretary of State and county clerks want you to know that they are legally obligated to never give that out.
Interesting. Of all the stuff that they do give out, which people get very nervous about that's public record signatures.
It's protected,
now.
yes.
All right, Steve, thank you. Early voting numbers in Colorado must have Republicans sweating. I mean, one of those like clammy, full body sweats where like if the wind blows a little bit, you get cold and stuff. Because ballot returns are roughly even right now, which means that Republicans' typical edge at this point, it's gone. Compared to the last midterm election, at this point in time, Republican turnout is down nearly 11%. Democratic turnout is up nearly 14%. Magellan Strategies, which does polling for Republicans, notes that unaffiliated turnout is higher than ever at this point for a Colorado midterm, and Magellan says the signs are not positive as of now for Republicans. You've sent us so many questions about your ballot, and our politics guy Marshall Zellinger and our producer Austin Cox decided to jump on Facebook Live today to answer as many of them as possible. Here for you are a few of the most frequently asked questions.
Why does my ballot envelope say it is a violation of law to receive more than 10 ballots for mailing or delivery in any election? No, you can't vote 10 times. It means any one person can turn in ballots on behalf of 10 people. Don't want to put it in the mail? Give it to your kid to turn it in. Don't have a car? Ask your mom. It means one person can hand deliver 10 ballots. During our Facebook Live this afternoon, Lane wanted to know, do you have to vote for every possible contest on the ballot? Great question, Lane. No, you can vote as much or as little and it will still count. If you don't fill in a bubble for one race, the bubble you filled in for another race will still count. In fact, you can turn in a blank ballot and you'll still be counted as having voted in that election. Allison wanted to know where you can get a new ballot if you messed yours up. Well, you can go to your county clerk. But while you're there, you can vote in person, like this kiosk in Denver. If you don't want to use pen and the paper ballot, go to a vote center in your county and use the electronic voting machines. Lisa wanted to know, how do we vote to not keep bad judges? Lisa, on our 9 News voter guide, we have a link to the judges' performance evaluations. Find the judge and remember to read the 4th paragraph, which details the good and the bad about that judge. And the last question comes from 9 News producer Kevin Larson, and I'll defer to Kyle for the answer. Should I fill out my ballot with a glass of wine or a nice IPA? For me, it's a stout. For Next, I'm Marshall Zellinger.
Imperial Stout for me, please. Thank you. You can see Marshall and Austin answer some more questions in their full 20-minute video that's on the Next Facebook page. If you caught word of an incident at Rangeview High in Aurora this morning, here is how that all turned out. There was concern that somebody was in the school with a gun, and there were 2 people detained and questioned today. Aurora police say that no shots were fired, nobody was injured. These Snapchat images got it all started. And at this point, the people who were detained are not facing charges. This has got to be a tough time to be a friend of the Saudi regime, even if they are paying you for it. The Denver-based law firm Brownstein Hyatt is sticking by the Saudis, unlike other lobbying firms that have cut ties after the Saudis killed and dismembered an American-based journalist and the Saudis prolonged their war in Yemen that's causing a humanitarian crisis. Brownstein's Saudi ties are being scrutinized like never before. But Governor John Hickenlooper must have raised their spirits yesterday, declaring it Brownstein Hyatt Day in Colorado.
This was their 50th anniversary. We do this as typically for dozens and dozens and dozens of companies every year. And we don't have, I mean, certainly now we will have a process where we'll look at it more closely. We have young staff people that put this together and send it out.
Are you still comfortable with it happening now?
It happened. I mean, it's what it is, right? It is unfortunate that the timing is what it is.
About the timing. The day before Governor Hickenlooper's proclamation, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo called out Saudi bombing in Yemen. That same day, Turkish prosecutors, for the first time, described how the Saudis strangled journalist Jamal Khashoggi, cut up his body, and destroyed it. Brownstein Hyatt makes $125,000 a month lobbying for the Saudi regime. Denver Mayor Michael Hancock's latest challenger says the mayor's homeless sweeps aren't solving the problem and that his dream of an Olympics in Denver is a mistake. Jamie Gillis comes from the River North Arts District. Her background is urban planning. She joins a growing field of challengers that also includes former State Senator Penfield Tate and community activist Lisa Calderon. Gillis says Mayor Hancock has been setting the wrong tone for Denver.
The tone is we're gonna kind of shut the gates and focus on perhaps some of the bigger legacy projects, the bigger projects that he has really put a lot of his energy into. But I think that there's almost a protection going on there, a lack of opening up the doors and letting the public be a part of that process.
And to people who know that most recently you were working in the River North neighborhood and say, well, when you describe unbridled growth, boy, that sounds a lot like River North.
Totally.
What do you say to that?
We're at the epicenter of it. We are the microcosm of what's happening on a broader scale. What I would say, to flip the script on that, I came into the picture on that in around 2013, 2014. The script was fairly written at that point. A rail station was going to come in. It was kind of the last undeveloped frontier. We were coming strong out of the recession, and we knew development was coming. The way we approached that was to say that development either goes completely without control, or we organize around it and do whatever we can to control that market, and that's what we've done.
Do you intend to make the mayor's personal conduct an issue in the campaign?
Look, I am not going to focus my energy on that because I think we have a lot of, bigger fish to fry, bigger issues to really focus on that the people out in the neighborhoods and community are really concerned about.
I asked Ms. Calderon when she was in if she thought that the mayor still had the moral authority to lead the city, and she said that he did not. What do you think about that question?
So I would say on behalf of the close to 350,000 women and girls that live in the city, no. But that's really up to the voters to decide.
In our full conversation on the next YouTube channel, Gillis explains why she thinks that Mayor Hancock has been failing to address his own stated #1 priority, affordable housing.
Grib road trip. An even bigger mystery than what's in the meat is why Coloradans would drive as far as they did to get it.
My good news is that on my ranch, all my animals are super happy and healthy. I just got 2 new cats. I'm going to get a kitty.
That's their good news this Friday. How about yours? And a museum is just now learning what it's had rolled up in storage. You'll see it next.
Hi, I'm an elk. You were probably expecting a political canvasser at your door. But fall isn't just campaign season in Colorado. It's a special time for elk like me. Hey ladies, and I'm here to ask, could you guys stop watching? Imagine if hordes of elk showed up and peeked in your bedroom window. I get it, elk don't have bedrooms. We're forced to do our sexy business in public, like on golf courses in Estes Park. But it doesn't mean we wouldn't like a little privacy. So next time you see Lady Elk responding to a bugle call, just keep driving, would you? No need to stop and stare. Don't make our mating season any more awkward. Please.
Paid for by Elk Decrying Overly Invasive Neighbors Governing Intimate Times.
Todo está bien? Did you have a good summer?
I'm on track to do something good.
Our school, come on. We love weird kids.
This is me.
This place was like wow. It's gonna be great today.
I think that's amazing.
I want to welcome everybody.
That girl portrays determination.
That was a tight squeeze.
Oh, wow. Keeping my fingers crossed.
Get to know the Johnsons 5 nights a week.
How about I give you $100?
No, 200, and you agree not to have any more children.
Okay, that's a decision I have. No.
A traditional family.
I'm here to help.
You're not Mom.
Where's Mom?
And an unconventional comedy.
I think you look good for your age, Dad.
40's not bad, right?
You're only 40? Good Lord, you've lived a hard life.
Weekdays starting at 5 p.m. on Channel 20.
Okay, no problem. Everybody follow me.
Get ready for a gnarly ride. This dude rips.
I'm Jacques Houot. They call me Frenchie. I am 41 years old, each leg. Egal 82.
82 years old. Jacques keeps moving. Sure, he can ride, but his charisma is what got the attention of Carbondale filmmaker Michelle Smith.
Oh, I love Michelle. Too bad she's married.
5 Point Film Festival's Night of Stoke is the kind of evening you rock chacos instead of heels. Jacques,
the love of your life.
Michelle, and Jacques' new friend are in the house for a screening of Michelle's film, The French, a tale too big for one person to tell.
You know, you meet somebody like that, and it's like, I'm not afraid to get old.
For that, I'm glad I motivate people to keep moving.
Happy birthday! That's wonderful. Thank you, dear. Very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You make me feel so young. You make me feel so spring has sprung. And every time I see you,
you're not fooling anybody you know. Think young. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
It's completely fine to hear something you don't agree with and say, yeah, I still think the exact same thing. Test your own beliefs. We also want next to be a reflection of you watching at home. All right, let's talk about something other than election season. We are done with politics on Next for today. Can't help the commercials. They're out of my control, just like Danielle Grant.
Always out of control, right? The winds certainly were 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts coming through parts of the foothills earlier this morning. Those higher mountain passes, 60 close to 70 miles per hour near Berthoud Pass. The strong winds continue as we're watching a storm system push through. 20 mile per hour gusts right now up through Estes and the Redfield Lakes area, 54 in Berthoud, and then even around the metro area, it's been fairly gusty. Tonight, you're noticing the clouds pushing in, and I am tracking our next storm, already bringing in the clouds, the winds, and a little bit of snow. snow coming through the Continental Divide into Larimer, Grand, Jackson counties. The snow will continue late tonight up there. Around here, I don't think we'll see much. 38 degrees, that overnight low. Maybe a nice little rain shower late tonight, but it won't add up to much. The high country, it's going to be a little tricky early tomorrow morning heading up there. The storm system winding down by tomorrow afternoon when we might find 1 or 2 isolated showers pushing into the metro area, but I don't think we will see much. Certainly up in the high country they will. Look at that, about 6 to 12 inches coming through areas above about 9,000 feet. Tomorrow, a cooler day in the 50s around town. A little warmer, a little drier on Sunday. Good news for the Broncos fans. And then it looks like another round coming in on Monday. A little rain, a little snow. All eyes on Tuesday, Kyle. Yes, we are looking pretty good. No excuses to get out and vote.
All right. Thank you, Danielle. Be proud of who you are and what makes you special. Me, for instance, I like the McRib sandwich, and I'm not ashamed of that. I am not interested in your judgment, and neither are these people. Cody, Angela, and their friends drove 150 miles today to get their hands on that sweet, ambiguously sourced meat. They drove more than 2 hours from Colorado Springs down to Raton, New Mexico. The McDonald's in Raton is the closest one to Colorado that's serving McRibs, according to the online McRib locator. Yes, that's a thing. It's crowdsourced. So they packed their trunk full of 100 McRibs and drove back to the Springs and gave them out in front of their business. It is shameless marketing, and it looks delicious.
This place was saving my life, providing me that which I couldn't provide for myself.
The homeless and less fortunate just need a second chance and a second opportunity. The Food Bank of the Rockies is everything.
As a human being, we have an obligation to our fellow man. If you're donating for any other reason, you're donating for your own humanity.
We need your help. Donate non-perishable food, clothing, toys, and cash to 9 Cares Colorado Shares on November 17th. Give someone in need a second chance.
I know people don't always believe this, but I'm allowed to speak my mind on this show, and I'm allowed to showcase your thoughtful perspectives, even if the bosses don't agree with them. That really does happen here. That's the strength of Next. It's important to hear things that we disagree with because, lo and behold, we might change our minds. We also want Next to be a reflection of you watching at home. You're smart, funny, and you're unapologetically honest, even when it gets you in trouble. And that's what we hope that the show is as well.
Latina for me means family.
Being Latino to me means having pride in my heritage.
It means being part of a community where you're never alone.
Being Latina is being strong and independent.
Being Latino is really everything to me.
It's who I am.
Being Latina to me means that I can achieve whatever I want.
What Latina means to me is being bold.
It's being creative, innovative, resourceful.
Being Latina means celebrating life in a unique way.
From Maine to Maui, thousands of high school students across the country are getting in on the action by volunteering in their communities.
It's great helping others, and it feels good too. Are you in? Whoa!
Anyone can do it. All it takes is a little time. Are you in?
Action teams of high school students are joining Volunteers of America and Major League Baseball players to help train and inspire the next generation of volunteers.
It's easy to start an action team at your school, so you too can get in on the action.
Are you in? Get in on the action at actionteam.org.
Don't take your health for granted. Get in-depth medical information that your doctor can trust at a fraction of the price. No appointment needed. Choose from new screenings including heart health and blood type. Own your health. Find your fair at 9healthfair.org.
The Clifford Still Museum still has not seen all of his work in their possession. It's rolled up at the museum in Denver. And on Monday, museum workers will unroll the final 3 canvases of the whole load that have been in storage since the museum opened in 2011. These pieces haven't been seen in decades because Still just rolled them up after he painted them.
And in some cases, the plastic is heavily degraded and literally is crumbling away.
Clyfford Still was an American painter and one of the originators of a very important art movement we call abstract expressionism, which was probably the first American art movement to gain acclaim on foreign shores. When he died, his will said that everything he had by his hand in his possession would be given to an American city. And in 2004, Denver was able to announce that it had won that body of work, which we now know is about 95% of everything he made. Once we opened the museum in late 2011, we got immediately busy in starting this inventory, roll by roll, canvas by canvas.
Let's take these off because that's just going to fly away.
It really does feel like this magical moment when we get to unroll them and see them for the first time since the artist rolled them up.
On November 5th, we decided to single out the last 3 rolls of this incredible 6-year process and stream the unrolling of those last rolls on our Facebook page.
It's just sort of a great window into our behind-the-scenes process.
Ready? Then we'll go this way.
It's incredibly exciting 40, 50 years after he painted them to be able to remove the outer wrapping and unroll them and for the very first time discover these works. I'm so excited for the work to be done, but it also is a little bit bittersweet.
So it's really a momentous occasion for us completing this very important but not final chapter in our work, because we still have more conservation work to do, more photography, and more work in just understanding what these paintings mean to us and to the people in Denver.
The museum received about 830 paintings. 700 of them needed to be unrolled. They're going to live stream the unrolling of the final 3 on their Facebook page Monday at 1 o'clock. This week we're doing your good news like never before, and feedback from a dude who I think is literally tripping out right now over this jacket next.
Girls are too much.
Can I have your attention, everyone? That depends. Are you a cat video? Too funny. Here's your fish of the day. That day is last Monday. Too wild. Together. Caroline's got a date tonight. It's not a joke. I'm really going on a date. Stop it. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna pee.
2 broke girls.
5 nights a week on Channel 20.
Smart, funny, honest. Just like you. Check out Next, weekdays at 6 on 9 News.
Just being here is something rare.
No.
For 5-year-old Marin Stecken. This is kindergarten at the school in Creed. This is a normal part of life.
So do you mind answering some questions for them?
Marin's mom, Honey Stecken, wasn't sure she'd get to. Genetic testing revealed Marin had a rare metabolic disease.
The moment those words came out, propionic acidemia, I mean, it was the worst case scenario.
It could make you very, very, very sick.
So the median lifespan is 5.
Under a strict diet, Marin can attend school, due in large part to a medicine that stabilizes her bodily functions.
Come on.
But just being here creates something rare.
It's kind of like, wow, I can picture my kid, she's going to go to school and you're very excited. But then there's this.
The medicine causes a chemical reaction in Marin's body, leaving her with a problem that sounds funny.
It just smells almost like rotten fish.
But is very serious.
My little girl is walking around smelling so bad that people do not want to be around her.
After years of frustration, Honey found this webpage and a product meant for feminine hygiene that prevents the chemical reactions which causes the odors. Now Marin can play with her classmates.
Guys, come here, play on it!
Now Marin can get dragged around the floor.
Like all those images in my mind of not being asked to prom or maybe not having friends.
Now Marin's scent is just like any other kid's. Just being here, turning something rare into someone normal.
It will not be her problem. It's not her problem anymore.
Each week, the headlines in your life become our good news. Our photojournalist Ann Herbst went to the studio school in Thornton for an artistic take on our favorite question. What's your good news?
My good news is that I'm going to be on the green team. My good news is that ski season is almost here, and I drew a picture of me and my brother skiing. My good news is that I've got a lot of it. I'm at the studio school and what my favorite thing to do is learn. Usually I like to make gel pictures a lot. My good news is that I'm going to be on the green team, which is like it's this thing that we're doing at our school. They kind of like sort out all the trash and recycle. My play is coming up. Mary Poppins is coming up. My show. My hair is blue. I'm going to get a kitty. I just got 2 new cats. I named the little puppy Max and the red kitten, Fluffy Pants. On my ranch, all my animals are super happy and healthy. Every Christmas, my family goes to my grandma and grandpa's house. My mom had her baby on September 3rd or 4th, I think. I can tell that he loves me because anytime I lay with him, he just falls asleep. My good news is that I'm My good news. I don't know anything else.
Use more joy on the news. Hen writes in tonight, Kyle, your jacket, does it contain all of the stars in the Milky Way galaxy? How many edibles precisely have you had at this point? Lisa says, thanks so much for the creative, non-political ads. I know, I almost want to keep going after the election with those. And Tom says, hey, Carl, why aren't you doing No Shave November this year? I don't know, Tim. I'll ask Carl if I see him before next time.
Subscribe to the next YouTube channel and I'll buy you a beer. Am I actually buying them a beer? This could be a very poor idea. We need some terms and conditions. Offer subject to terms and conditions.